Do the very best that you can do at whatever you do, and that will pay off for you later. I am Ella Phillips Lacey, and I attended SIU I started SIU in 1961. I got my bachelor's degree with a major in psychology and minors in math and guidance. I came back later and finished my master's in 1972, and I finished my PhD in 1979. Life for me never ran on a straight line, so some of my work experiences were woven in while I was an undergraduate, before undergrad, as an undergrad, and before I got my master's, and between my master's and my PhD. My first professional work assignment was as a rehabilitation counselor. So I worked for the State Division of Rehabilitation, and that was a wonderful job because you were getting paid to really do a wonderful service for people who had disabilities. And especially when you would get a student, maybe in high school, who had a disability that could prevent them from doing certain work, and I was able to help get them on a track for a job that they could do. Well, just as I was finishing my master's up, I applied and was accepted for a position with SIU School of Medicine. I was to be a faculty member, and the curriculum was yet to be developed as to exactly what I would teach, so that was pretty interesting. But the dean decided that before going into being a faculty member, maybe it would be good to work in the community and get some things ready for the medical students. I actually did the ambulance project, which took Southern Illinois from using funeral home hearses to using Department of Transportation ambulances as you see them now. One Christmas holiday, I learned that all the jobs that I had had before, including when I was a student worker, was compatible with the state university retirement system. So though I had spent 22 years working at the university, I could, by paying some of the money back, or money that I never paid in, I could retire with 35 years of work experience. So that's when I decided international work would be something I would treasure. And that's when I went into Peace Corps and spent the usual 27-month assignment in Malawi in East Central Africa. And that was truly an enriching experience. I could not have been more pleased with having made that step, because it would have otherwise been impossible for me to have gotten the experiences that I got during that 27 months. I spent 10 years in volunteer work. So my work life was volunteer and regular paid work. But the one thing I would say, the volunteer work, I spent longer hours and worked even harder than I did in the jobs for which I was paid. Where I grew up in southeast Missouri was more like life in the African country than the typical 22-year-old life was. I celebrated my 55th birthday, my first day in Malawi. I was always taught to do the best job you can do at whatever you're doing. Don't worry so much about your particular job, because any honest job is a good job. Make sure it's honest work that you're doing and it's a good job. And sometimes small things that you never thought would have much meaning, sometimes you get more satisfaction out of that than you do some situation with a big name or said to be a big outcome or whatever. Probably the most dominant activity I've worked with in Carbondale in the last so many years is the I Can Read program. And I Can Read was designed as a totally volunteer program. Well, that one I have fulfilled probably every role that's there, from being just a volunteer who makes sure things are in place, to being the coordinator of the program to decide how the resources are to be allocated and whatnot. You're always humbled by the idea that someone would see fit to select you for some special recognition. It is an honor, and I feel that things like that should go on. Not necessarily that it should be me, but there should be things like that, because so often, not even a generation later, people do not realize the kinds of things that people have done who have walked these same buildings and steps and whatever that they're walking in now. I believe the university has a responsibility for leadership. So I am very proud that SIU has been able to continue with some bold steps